Hello, this is Purge bringing you guys another special video. I am back from vacation. Hello everybody, how are you doing? Got back yesterday from Hawaii and now I'm back into the house. LD is currently mostly moved in. His stuff is in the house. His computer is set up right here for now. This is going to be his bedroom as soon as we get this things all moved. But we're going to be doing all the moving later today. So I thought I'd record a quick video to say to tell you guys that I'm still here. And what I want to work on, at least on this video, is I want to talk about laning stage a little bit. Now, I'm not really sure how this video is going to turn out. It's kind of like a half-formed idea in my head, and it might suck, but hopefully you guys can learn a lot from it. What I want to focus on is these last two games that I've played over here. I know I'm not completely full screen right now, but I'll show you guys in a second. It's a Queen of Pain game and a Huskar game, and I just want to focus on the laning stage of those two games. The Huskar game, I played a hard carry, and the Queen of Pain game, I played mid, of course. So the reason I don't want to cast them as entire games is because it was enjoyable for the first 15 minutes or so. It really demonstrated how to play the heroes correctly and to lane them correctly. But after that, everything just kind of went to shit. The Huskar game, we stomped way too hard, and the Queen of Pain game just turned into a pile of shit somehow. So let's go over these really quick. And I hope you guys will enjoy this. Let's change overlay here. We'll check out the Queen of Pain game first. Would have been really smart to download these before I ended up starting this, but luckily they are not that large. Like I said, both of them went pretty fast. So I'm just going to hop in under player perspective under myself, and I'm going to talk about the mid roll a little bit. We will be making a video going over this a lot more detailed in the next couple of days. I'm going to have Blitz help me with that most likely. No promises. For all I know, that will be somehow permanently shelved, but I'm going to be working on that later today or tomorrow, hopefully with him, maybe sometime this week. I was playing on a 5-stack with Super Joe. This is Suns fan, of course, Blitz, and I keep forgetting his name. I think his name is Kyle. We ended up in this game, and I believe I will be playing the solo mid roll. We can speed this up, of course, because we don't need to wait. The cool thing about Queen of Pain is that she's one of the most dominant heroes in the game, just because of the fact that, looks like I did random Queen of Pain. She's one of the most dominant heroes in the, did I say the world? In the game. Oh, God, it feels so weird having a big screen. This is about the first time I've looked at a Dota screen since I got back. I've been on a laptop for a while. Yeah, Queen of Pain is one of the strongest mid heroes in the entire game. Now, I did get a big advantage this game because I randomed, which is going to throw things slightly off, but essentially tried a new hero build. I haven't looked at any of these yet. I really should probably dick around with them, but yeah, Queen of Pain by far one of the best heroes in the mid lane that can really dominate. Basically, I think they knew some of the players. Aosin was not here, but yeah. Anyways, Queen of Pain, one of the most dominant mid heroes in the game. The reason for this is because against any melee hero, you can use Dagger, which does a lot of damage. She has great base damage, and she also has great animation and escape. So basically, she's hard to kill relatively. She has good offensive potential, and she has great laning potential. It's because of her base damage. It's because of her animation. These things are very important. Now, since I randomed this game, I opted to go for a triple Ironwood Tango build with a mantle. The reason I got the mantle is because I can get the bottle relatively fast anyways, and I want to increase my base damage depending on who I'm up against. As you guys can see from the map, it's going to be a tiny. So this is a mostly one-sided matchup, but I still kind of want to show you guys the first 10 minutes or so, just because I want you guys to understand why it's such a one-sided matchup. It obviously helps out a lot that Lich stole one of the creeps right off the bat, so there's going to be a lot of things that you guys should it's not all just me by any means. There was a lot of help from my allies in this game to stomp the mid lane, but I'm hoping that if you guys see it happen, that you can try to replicate that better in your pub games. I know that it's a large factor of my allies. I believe they're getting in a position to level 1 gank on the Tiny here. As you can see, they're on high ground. I think they went way too close. If you look at his positioning there, he did spot them out. Now he's hiding by the trees, but regardless, this will give me some lasting advantage here, and I should be able to get all the last hits in the meantime. So this starts me off very nicely. I should be able to finish a bottle pretty much at the start of the game. If I didn't random, I would have hit there a little bit later, but as you guys can see, I picked up Dagger just in case he comes. I actually didn't need to skill this yet. I could have saved it, but regardless, going to try to go for last hitting while the creeps are up here, and I should have my bottle finished now. Yep, 600 gold. I don't remember when I purchased it, but at some point I purchased it. So, of course, going to use the Dagger and a little bit of last hitting on the Tiny. I don't want to miss last hits, though, for harass. That's never really worth it to do. Could have done a little bit more to hold that off. And it also really helps that the creep wave is on my side of the map, because this is, of course, going to keep things out of EXP range. I know if the tower hits this once, I'll be able to deny it, and that's why I did that. He actually wasted his mana there, and he does get one last hit finally, 2 last hits. So pretty okay for him considering. Now, since he's a tiny, I don't want to let him get anywhere near close, so I'm going to play high ground and play aggressive, because I want to make sure that he doesn't get a whole lot of gold. I think I picked up a second dagger this game because it's a tiny, and if tiny can't get close to last hit, I mean, that's essentially the point. It shows you how dominant that Queen of Pain is. It's because of the fact that she can just hold your opponent back. So I'm going to put some hits on him here. I can't remember if there was diving. Yeah, I think they were talking about diving, but regardless, I do land the dagger and a couple more right clicks on the guy. But basically, it's just such an unfavorable matchup for him that it puts him in a really, really bad spot. I missed one last hit there, but I should have brought the bottle way earlier. That's a huge, huge mistake for me. I could have gotten this like 45 seconds ago. I'm surprised I didn't buy it much until then. Don't know why, but that it was the case. He's going to do a little toss here, and we should be able to get the kill. Just a little dagger usage, and yeah, that's a pretty easy kill on Tiny. So it really does help if your supports do roaming like this, guys. Obviously, it takes a little bit of knowledge of vision and stuff like that. But getting ganks like that is fantastic. The lane matchup is obviously like by far in my favor, and with my bottle now coming, I should be able to rune control pretty well. Pretty huge mistake of me to not get this until later, but again, just making sure you get all the last hits, making sure that he can't come forward and get any last hits, and all of a sudden he's going to go try to rune control, which I think is what, yep, he's going to bottle a DD. So slight mistake for me. I should have had that. If I did, the lane would have been even more one-sided despite already being one-sided, but surprisingly, my damage is a little bit too high here, and I didn't actually trade my boots, so need a tango and then drop that. So this lane's pretty much won already. I'm level 4. Getting a second level of dagger is maybe a mistake because it's going to hurt my team fight potential at level 6. That's because dagger, though it does a lot of solo damage, it's not very good for team fights relatively. The dagger is already pretty good at level 1. It does enough of what it needs to do, and when I hit 6, I'll have to make a decision. Do I get my ulti or do I get Scream of Pain? So I think what I ended up doing this game was kind of an alteration of a build that I used to see on the pro scene. I don't see it anymore at all, probably because it's not good enough, but I think I maxed out the Scream by 7 without getting ulti, and the reason I basically just did that is because I didn't feel like I had enough mana for that. So you can adjust your builds based on the opportunities, but at the moment I am 14 and 14. If we check Tiny's last hits, he is at 6, so 15 denies, tons and tons of denies, is going to limit his EXP. If we check to see what level he is currently level 3 compared to my 5, which is just such a big advantage for me. And even though he does have a DD, I still can't play up on him. He's forced to use mana just to get last hits here. If he comes anywhere near close to the creep wave, I should be able to at least throw a dagger on him. So should have probably denied that. Oh, that's right. I think we saw a rune bot is what was going on, and I was considering if I can get this in time or not. And now with the dagger on him here, we should be able to get the kill. A little bit of miss stun by Joe, but at this point we were in the Roshan pit. He doesn't have any mana, and now we just have to like time the auto attack. I was actually scared that Lena was going to miss that up because I saw his HP go down, and I figured it'd be 2 Roshan hits and 1 right click and we would get him, but Joe got a little flustered there and started attacking. So treads at 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes. This is like completely one-sided here, all because of a little bit of roam from the supports, as well as having a dominant mid. And this is a lot of the reason why in higher levels you guys don't see anybody play anything but good mids. And it's because of games like these. The Tiny is sitting here. It's not really his fault. There's been roaming from my supports, and he's also in a super unfavorable matchup. And because of that, like, I had the best start ever into this game. 20 last hits at 5 minutes is maybe a little low, but I'm going to catch up a little bit here. And obviously having my bottle earlier would have been really helpful, but that extra attack speed really does help a lot when you're playing a mid-roll. You're more likely to get all the denies. As you guys can see, there's more smoke ink coming on. So that's pretty much all I really need to show you, I think. I basically won the lane at this point. He can't come to the lane because I have huge mobility. I'm level 6. I have Tread's bottle against him, whereas if we look at his items, he just has a bottle and a magic stick and a stout shield. He just doesn't have the survivability. There's very, very little he can do at this point, and it was all because of support roaming, as well as me having a strong mid hero and playing my hero decently enough. So that's all it really takes to do really well in the mid lane. I think that's all I really need to show you guys in this replay. The reason we ended up losing was because I think Sunsfan died quite a few times in his long lane lich, and our our Void actually didn't do the best job in farming. I actually have more last hits than him at the moment, and he's versus a Weaver, which is not an easy matchup by any means, but yeah, he didn't do so hot. I guess we can show myself team fighting here. Messed that one up a little bit, only caught Venge, but just trying to play this out a little bit. A little tread switching. Am I slow? I think I'm on... No, I'm not. Okay. Man, the game looks weird after you speed it up. Have to be a little worried about dying here. Looks like they had a ward on the high ground. I did mess up my scream a little bit. Slight mistake for me. But I luckily do get the double damage. I was thinking about turning this around if he decided to fight. But anyways, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. I don't think the rest of this game is worth showing. Basically, I ended up getting a bunch of kills using my really early farm advantage. I probably should have been there a little earlier in that little fight in the jungle, but I was not. And then we kind of turned it into just a couple mistakes in team fights, and we got way behind, and they won a gigantic... Like, they absolutely crapped on us. So, as you can see, they're actually farming a lot better than us. There's only 2 people farming versus their 3 to 4. So, that's probably a lot of the reason that we lost as well. So, yep, that's the end of that game. We can go back to the overlay for just a second. That was just a little bit of a teaser about mid lane. I know that this video is going so far, but I'm sure some of you guys are learning some things. And then I'll just talk about this hard carry lane really quick and some aspects of playing a hard carry versus the solo long lane. Then we can get back into this. Like I said, we will be going over tons and tons of mid stuff within a day or two with Blitz. I'll probably sit down with him here at my computer, and then we will go over that. Gonna go back to player perspective and speed up. This was the last game that I played before I went on vacation, which was like last Thursday, I think. I haven't played a game since then. It's now Wednesday, so it's been quite a long time. Oops. Speed this up a bit. Again, I random because I do like the randoming. Can talk about random gold. Again, random gold is a pretty huge advantage. It's a little unfair. If you're in a higher levels of matchmaking, random gold can be the difference between getting a big advantage in your lane. As you guys saw in the last game at least. Oh, Pudge. I was like, who is he talking about? I was trying to figure out what to buy here, and I did a build that I was pretty happy with. Oops, I guess I have the shop open apparently. I started off with a Blades of Attack, a Salve, and a Tango, and then I got an extra Tango here. The reason I grab a Blades of Attack is because I know eventually I'm going to be making an armlet. I like to grab early last hitting power at early low levels, especially with Huskar. His base damage is actually kind of crappy. As you guys can see, it's at 45. So if my base damage is low at 45, then I need to get that up so that I have a better chance of last hitting. Even if I am... have free farm, there's a chance of me missing last hits if my base damage is lower than a typical carry or hero. So I grab a Blades of Attack, I grab 2 Ironwood branches because they're inexpensive, and I grabbed extra regen. The reason I grab extra regen is I do this sometimes just because it's a safe bet. If you don't random, you can't necessarily afford it. If I didn't random, I probably would have done a build like Double Gauntlet maybe, which increases your damage as well as your HP. But since I randomed and got lucky on it, then I went for Blades of Attack as well as the Salve Tango. Just for the extra damage as well as survivability. I don't really know when I'm going to buy a regen item. If I think about the item build I want to go, I'd either go Helm of the Dominator, which costs 900 gold to get either the Lifesteal Mask or 950 to get the Armor regen item. If I go Armlet, I would get the Helm of Iron Will, which is 950. So one of those 2 items which are pretty expensive to get to. So if I buy lots of regen to start with and I'm expecting to be against a long lane, then I don't have to worry as much and I can essentially just delay myself and or delay those regen items and just focus on getting my damage up as fast as possible, or in this case grabbing treads ASAP. So it looks like we had Sunsfan doing the long lane. By the way, we saw who this team was, and Will was telling us that they're a super high percentage win rate stack, something like that, so we were trying really hard this game. Anyway, starting off as a hard carry Huskar, the reason I grabbed Burning Spears at level 1 is because in case a hero comes up to lane, I should be able to harass them away. And with the wards, we will spot out that is a puck. So I know that I'm against the solo long lane puck, which is a pretty good matchup for me. Like I talked about in the last video, the matchup is very, very huge if you're at a high level of skill. The reason I was tanking creeps a little bit there is because I didn't want the lane to push. If it pushes under the tower, then we will end up losing the lane. I wanted to make sure that that range creep went down under half HP before I started denying it. I want to make sure that at all times the creep equilibrium is equal. That means that there's equal creeps on both sides. That's very, very important towards playing a hard carry in a game against a good player. It's so important because if I would let the creep wave push, if I let the creep wave under the tower, the lane will push out. It's something that you don't appreciate in low to medium, like I would say 95% of the skill curve of Dota players don't appreciate this lane equilibrium, but it is so, so important. If I let the lane push back, Puck's going to hit 3, and he's going to be able to contest me as well as, and maybe not so much in terms of early last hits, but definitely in terms of kill potential. So it's something that's very, very nuanced that you guys don't notice very often, but I promise it's absolutely massive. So trying to keep creep equilibrium a bit. I'm going to get all the last hits, of course, and I will again tank a couple creeps until the range creeps can trade hits and eventually kill each other, of course. So it's always generally better off to just kill your creeps before theirs, if possible. One of these creeps did get under tower here, which makes things a little scary. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to keep the creep equilibrium at this point, but we do have a tri-lane, which helps out a lot. We have Avenge as well as Keeper of the Light, so this should mean that we have a pretty good shot at keeping the Puck out of EXP range. Now, the other really important reason of keeping Puck out of EXP range is, if you look at the levels right now, I'm level 3 and Puck is level 1. He's probably just now getting experience, but of course I'm still denying every creep that I can. We have Keeper of the Light going around, which is going to keep the Puck even more out of EXP range despite the wave pushing up a bit, and this should give us a little bit of an advantage. So I'm able to pick up boots here. Now, some hard carries in this position would say, I have free farm, I want to get a hand of Midas because I'm worried about out-carrying heroes at the late game. And yes, of course, Huskar is not really the best hard carry. He's not exactly a hard carry. Somewhere between a mid and hard carry, I would say, is the best way to describe him. So late game, he would have some problems out-carrying against a PA, but rather than opting for the fast hand of Midas or something like that, I opted for boots instead. And this is something really important to keep in mind. I've encountered this a couple times when playing Faceless Void, because for some reason I play Faceless Void a decent amount, and oftentimes a long lane Windrunner is pretty common. So Faceless Void versus a Windrunner, if you are just playing a Faceless Void and you go fast Midas, yeah, it's going to increase your GPM big time, but the problem is it doesn't give you much offensive power versus a long lane hero. So in this case, when I opt for a boots instead of grabbing a hand of Midas, it actually gives me quite a few options against this Puck. Now, if I wanted to, I could go after the Puck right now. Puck is still level 1. I'm almost level 4, which means I have a pretty big skill point advantage. And because of that, I can actually trade hits with him very, very easily. And I know that I can basically just chase him down and auto-attack him as far as I want to. My HP is missing slightly, so this means I have some good damage. I could maybe go harassing on him, but at this point, getting last hits is more important. At this point, I was really terrified Joe was going to feed a kill there, but that's going to cost me some last hits, but not the end of the world. With a little bit of HP missing, I do have pretty good damage. Now, another thing I want to talk about is Burning Spears. A lot of people aren't a huge fan of Burning Spears. They like to just keep Burning Spears at 1, and they go for the lifesteal build instead, but I've been playing around with this a little bit. I played the Huskar game versus fans. I remember I did that, and I really enjoyed going the no lifesteal build, and this game, I opted to try something similar. Now, this is me going after Puck at the moment. He actually did use Phase Shift. I could maybe go a little harder on him, but my HP is a little low, so I was a little worried about that, but at this point, I have to get my HP back up, and at that point, I can start harassing after the Puck a little bit more. It's going to cost me last hits to do it. As you guys can see, I maybe wasn't interested in actually diving him there, but I just want to keep him a little unsure, basically. Every once in a while, I do want to walk towards him. That way, he doesn't feel completely safe. I don't want him to feel like he can safely come up to the lane. He has to feel constantly afraid of dying, so he's easily scared and hopefully less willing to take a risk to try to kill me. And since my HP is still at half, I'm slightly worried about this. I think I'm waiting for 5 maybe to go aggressive, but as you guys can see, my base damage right now is actually quite fantastic. So as soon as I pick up 5, I should have another Berserker, and there we go. Now I basically have a permanent double damage. I'm going to pop a Tango, and it's actually not bad to keep your HP about half here, because I hit so hard that I can essentially deny everything that Puck is trying to hit. Puck has 0 last hits, whereas I have 32 last hits and 28 denies. I even killed that range creep there, which probably shouldn't have happened, but my damage is so high that it actually does kind of work out. And after playing this game, I felt really good about playing Huskar. He burned his Phase Shift here, which is a pretty big mistake from him. I'm hitting quite hard. I'm just going to throw 2 spears, of course, using the burning. The damage on this is really, really good, by the way. It's 8 damage over 7 seconds, which is, 50, no, 60. Oh my god, I can't even do basic math anymore. I think it's 64. Nope, that's 9. I'm sorry. It's 56, I think. 8 times 7 is 56, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong, though. It does quite a bit of damage. He had to burn a salve. He actually doesn't have any regen here. And I know he doesn't have boots, and this is what I was talking about, having the boots advantage over him. So I'm just going to kind of stack up some spears on the guy, because I want to get him pretty low. And a little bit of mistake from him. He actually didn't orb quite early enough, so I just went after him. He luckily phased, wisely, he phased... I'm sorry, orbed after my last hit was going to kill him, and that forced me to actually go for the final chase. So I pick up my regen item now, finally. I chase him down, and I get the first blood, and that's really, really big for a hard carry. If you can solo kill the long lane, it not only accelerates your gold, but obviously also increases your EXP gain. And if we look at my EXP at this point, I'm actually equivalent to a solo because I got that solo kill. So now it's very important to point out, if Puck had last hits and boots in level 3, I wouldn't have killed him there. It wouldn't have happened, period. Because if he had boots there, he would have been able to just walk away. I would have gotten a couple less attacks in on him, and would have been a much tougher time for him. So at this point, I now have treads over him. He still doesn't have boots, and we're similar to the position that I was last game when I was playing Queen of Pain versus the Tiny. I now have a massive EXP advantage, and I also have a massive gold advantage over him as well. So this gives me a really, really good chance to get a solo kill here. I'm trying to burn his phase shift because I want to ulti it, and then he burns phase shift. That means I can ulti it and then turn on my spears a little bit and do a couple more right clicks. Now, since my burning spears are level 2, I think I can get the kill, and it does burn him down. So a little scary here because I was worried about the mid roaming to come pick me off, but even if he did come fight me, I would be able to just turn and right click and hopefully score a kill. So at this point, Puck is completely lost the lane. There's very, very little chance for him coming back there. I could have maybe done that slightly better. I need to start hotkeying, turning on the burning spears instead of just right-clicking it. But at this point, I'm going to start auto-attacking. I know that I've won the lane. I have a huge gold advantage. I can dive under Puck under tower if needed. So at this point, I can push the lane, and if he does try to defend it, I can try to score another kill. So this basically allows me to get so much pushing and gold advantage that I'm equivalent to a solo, and even if I do get ganked at this point, I have pretty good potential to try to score kills. Like I said, I will be maxing out burning spears because I actually don't want to get lifesteal this game. It really does do a crap load of damage, guys. 16, I mean, what does it do? It does like 100 magic damage every time I throw a spear. That's 15 HP. If I'm in a hero, if I'm in a hero advantage like this versus a Puck, or a EXP and gold advantage versus a Puck, and I have 4 levels of burning spears, imagine that being any other long lane solo. Even still, if I get the EXP and gold advantage, which I should have as the hard carry, if my supports are playing properly, which they did, if my supports play properly, and I have a 3-4 level advantage over the long lane solo, and you've been getting your last hits, and you can throw a spear for 15 HP at yourself and 100 magic damage on them, it's amazing. It can really dominate your lane and prevent them from coming to lane. Now, I would say the opponents could counter this by simply just not sending somebody to lane, or they could put like a bounty hunter in lane maybe, or something like that. Or maybe do an aggressive tri lane as well. But just having all the burning spears makes the lane so absolutely one-sided that it's ridiculous. It really is. I'm even hitting for pretty good damage right now. I have my armlet on the way. I believe I bought the recipe. It looks like it's flying out just now. But once I have armlet treads at 9 minutes, I mean, that survivability and power is insane. Makes me actually really want to try Huskar in more of a competitive lineup, perhaps. I don't think he's that great of a hero. And if we look at the heroes that they're working with, they don't have too many hard stuns. So Huskar actually kind of works well in this one. But eventually sell all of my Ironwind branches and have such a big advantage from this laning stage. Of course, continue to mess last hits, even though I hit super hard. And they ended up taking a mid tower. So armlet's picked up. Tread's armlet at this point is scary as hell. Puck knows that if he comes to lane, he's going to have a big problem. And I'm even going to turn on my armlet to get some last hits and push things out. So at this point, the laning stage is pretty much over. Grabbing the 2 solo kills on the Puck was really all I needed to cement my advantage. I was able to get those kills because I got free farm and my supports created space for me. And from here on out, I'm completely self-sufficient. My team is 4-manning while I still push bot. I could go team fight with my team, but instead I kind of felt like pressuring versus the Puck and maybe trying to take a tower. So I'm going to turn on my armlet because I want to take this tower if possible. I missed last hits again, of course, but not the end of the world. Storm Spirit grabs a kill versus Naga Siren. And I will continue to get last hits while pushing out the lane, getting denies where applicable. And as you guys can see, Puck has left the lane, so I want to turn on armlet and push this because I do want to make sure that we can take the tower here. Looks like Puck's coming back. I'm going to buy an Ogre Club because BKB, I strongly believe BKB is a absolute must for Huskar in almost all locations. I'm going to turn on Armlet here and just right-click the tower bit. God, it does so much damage. Armlet Huskar, man, it is insane. So that'll put me pretty low, or at least put the tower a little bit lower. My HP is missing a bit, but that's okay, because I can turn on Armlet and gain 200 or 300 points. And the magic stick as well. I kind of like picking up the magic stick. I have absolutely no intention of finishing this item because as most carries don't need to finish the item, by the way. The main reason I want to pick it up is because it's a very slight mana regen. I can use it for inner vitality later, but most importantly because it will help me survive. It's burst HP for 200 gold. It doesn't give me any static HP, but if I get 10 charges, 150 for 200 gold is pretty good, and that will be pretty useful as the game continues. Looks like they want to gank me. Actually, they have 3. I don't really remember what happens here, but I pick up my Ogre Club. I'm insanely farmed. What's my GPM? It's at 427 for a solo. Carry is excellent. My net worth is very high here. It's actually pretty close to the PA, which means that me being successful is a possibility. I can see all of their heroes with the ward, luckily, so it means that I can just go hide under tower. But as they saw me back off, unless they hooked me, that's probably the only way they could kill me. If they hooked, dismembered, and bursted me down, I would expect that'd be the only way that they could actually get solo kills on me. But I'm so farmed, it's ridiculous. And again, they're going to back off. Bounty Hunter came bot, and I should be able to push again. So they kind of failed their gank due to nice warding from my allies. I was kind of looking to maybe dive versus the Puck again, but I've got to be slightly careful because they can TP support versus on the tier 1 tower. So instead I'll just go back to pushing this if possible. And that was a TP out actually. I think Naga's top. I don't remember if I saw this or not, but they are getting some kills top, and I should be able to take the tower as a result. Even if I go low, it doesn't matter. And if you do leave Huskar solo, he can get kills quite easily. Slow this down a bit as I'm looking to fight. And finally, I do TP support to help my allies. Very important that I did that after taking the tower. Taking the tower is important, but really more importantly is I wanted to team fight. Let's back up for that just a second. We're pretty much almost done anyways, so I'm basically TP supporting onto the top lane, turn my heal on because my HP is a little low, and I just want to kind of jump on, initiate, and kill these 2 heroes. It's so important that you guys do TP support when playing a hard carry role, especially with the tower being gone. Just showing up to team fights, like knowing that we won the team fight that one-sided, it just completely cemented our game. I got insanely good free farm. I went to gank the top lane, and since Huskar is more of a mid-game carry than a late-game carry, my damage potential is just ridiculous at this point in the game. With the Armlet and max out Berserker's Blood and even 4 levels of Burning Spears, 100 magic damage per right click against these heroes. When they only have 600, 700, 800 HP, it is just a huge difference. And compare this to the Phantom Assassin. What item build does he have right now? He got a Hand of Midas. His GPM was actually quite close to mine, 340 or 394. And his net worth is relatively high. Not as high as mine now that I've gotten a couple kills, but his late game is going to be fantastic with a Hand of Midas. But since he was greedy and he went for this Hand of Midas build, he went Treads, he went Poor Man's, and he got a Hand of Midas. Hand of Midas doesn't really increase his damage much early game. His Treads gives him HP, but not much damage potential either. It just gives him survivability and attack speed. His attack speed is great, but his crit potential and his crit numbers are not that fantastic. So because he went for a Hand of Midas instead, his team fight this early is not nearly as good. He could have had a much better item at this point. I don't know what he would have grabbed. Maybe the start of a Perseverance or something like that, but he would be stronger in the early game and more able to fight us. And at this point, since we won that team fight, I'm only about 1300 away from getting my BKB, and then they can't fight me anymore. If I can BKB an Armlet versus this team at 13 minutes, it just completely makes the game one-sided. And this all came down to the fact that my supports kept the Puck out of EXP range. I was able to get lots of last hits and eventually score solo kills on the Puck with my EXP and gold advantage. And because I was able to do that and then show up to a team fight, this game is essentially won at this point, and pretty much things were over. The enemy team got pretty discouraged, but most importantly what happened was we basically just steamrolled them from here on out. I'm sure the gold graph looks crazy, and yeah, look at that. Look at that gigantic gold advantage. I'm sure the other lanes did well additionally. If we look at the gold graph, yeah, we have a couple kills on Bounty Hunter. Blitz got a couple kills on Storm Spirit, and our supports did reasonably as well additionally. So this game is essentially over from this point. It was a complete stomp after this point, and it was really just because we did the laning stage very well, and our picks were better than theirs. So we had better matchups and all that stuff. So I think that's it for the video. I just wanted to talk about the early stages of Queen of Pain. Stomp being a mid lane, again, my allies did a nice job. It was a lot of the supports roaming, as well as the hero matchup being completely unfair versus Tiny. And then in this hard carry matchup, Huskar is better versus Puck, and my supports let me get the EXP advantage, and I was able to mechanically take advantage over the Puck and end up team fighting properly. So I went BKB after this, and I like going Aghanims after that point. I think it's a really good damage item for the mid game on Huskar. So that's it for the video. I hope you guys learned something. Let me know if you like the format. I'm still a little unsure about that. I think this Huskar game was a much better demonstration than the Queen of Pain one, because there is a lot more Queen of Pain and mid information out on the internet. I think the mid info is definitely always there, but playing a hard carry and knowing about the laning stage at high levels is a little more nuanced and something that new players don't notice. So I hope you guys enjoy. Thanks everybody for watching. I might not be able to stream today. I'm going to try, but we have a ton of crap to do. We have to move all my computer stuff out of this room, put it in the main room, and then we have to move all LD stuff in here. I know we're also meeting for lunch and a bunch of other things, so we're going to be quite busy today with stuff. So I want to stream hopefully tonight. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, though. I'll try to do it soon either way. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll make some new videos soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.